Hello, my name is Salvador Espinosa. I am the research coordinator at the Public Affairs Behavioral Lab, located in the School of Public Affairs at San Diego State University. I want to use this opportunity to tell you more about the things that we're trying to do with this project. We started our behavioral lab with the idea to encourage the use of innovative and interdisciplinary approaches to help improve regulatory and policy design. All of this is done with the idea of improving human condition and promoting public good. To be able to do this, we are creating interdisciplinary groups that incorporate faculty and students from our own institution, but also from other institutions. The idea in the lab is to use experimental approaches and innovative technologies to study public affairs. How we do this? We start with an individual. Imagine yourself. When an individual is placed in a situation where they receive stimuli, we could think about things in our environment, such as things that we read in the newspaper, things that we watch on TV. So in general terms, we think about stimuli that affect how we see or how we perceive our reality. That stimuli could be oral, visual, or auditory. So with this approach, when we receive a stimuli, we process that information and then we respond to it. This is the approach that we're using in our lab. So we think about a series of stimuli, which could be regulations or public policy strategies. So how does the individual perceive the reality? How do they incorporate and process that information? And what are the responses that they're going to give us? How are they going to react to that stimuli? So when we look at this, we think about using this approach to try to improve the quality or the effectiveness of regulation and public policies. How do we do it? Well, there are different analytical approaches that could be used. Some research approach these kind of topics from a macro level perspective. A macro level perspective is when you are interested in the study of systems. Some other research are going to be approaching this from what I call a meso-level approach. In those cases, we think about individuals, but individuals in the context of groups, and how they interact in those groups. However, the approach that we emphasize in our behavioral lab is the individual, and more than that, is an intra-level approach. That means we want to know what happens inside the individual. That way, we can analyze how individuals respond to certain stimuli, how they process that information, how they respond to that stimuli, and then what can we learn in terms of improving regulation or public policy design. So we're interested in a particular dimension of the individual. We use innovative technologies to analyze these kind of questions. So these innovative approaches, for example, include the use of eye tracking devices. These are glasses that have cameras pointing to the eyes and also to the exterior. So we know what the individual can see at the moment that he's looking at it. We also have an electroencephalogram. These kind of devices are passive receivers of brain signals. When we combine these kind of technologies and the framework that I just explained, we're able to understand things such as attention, emotions, and cognition in the context of our behavioral lab. Now, we use this to develop a research agenda that crosses multiple topics. For example, right now, we're very interested in the interaction between neuroscience, decision-making, and other fields. When we look at this, our research agenda as of today includes health behavior, it includes behavioral dishonesty, or basically mechanisms to try to bring back ethics to the public service, but also behavioral public finance. Each of these broad topics, it comes to specific projects, or is narrowed down to specific projects that are going to be leading our efforts to use a lab setting to analyze different forms or stimuli and how they can help us improve human condition in areas such as those. Now, when we think about an interdisciplinary approach, it's because we use knowledge from different disciplines, such as neuroscience, economics, or behavioral economics, and psychology. Those are the driving literatures that are going to help us put together a solid, and are already helping us to put together a solid research agenda that it's going to incorporate the specific knowledge from the projects that we're analyzing. So we're able to improve, we're able to learn something new about how we react to our environment and how we can use those reactions or that knowledge to be able to improve human condition. We are in a world where we have visual stimuli all the time. We are in a world that incorporates a lot of technologies to understand human condition. Our behavioral lab is the perfect place to try to understand that in the context of specific policies or measures to try to improve the standing of human beings. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out and contact us. Thank you.